Officer Daniels, a man who had sworn to serve and protect, sat in the courtroom, completely convinced of his own power. With a smirk on his face, he told his version of the story, one filled with deception, manipulation, and a blatant disregard for the truth. The jury listened intently. The prosecutor nodded, almost as if the case was already decided. But what they didn't know was that the man sitting across from them wasn't just any defendant. Michael Carter wasn't some helpless victim. He wasn't just another statistic in a broken system. No, Michael Carter was a legal genius. And today, he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was about to turn the tables. As the judge signaled for cross-examination, something happened that no one expected. Michael didn't wait for his lawyer to stand. He simply adjusted his tie, pushed his chair back, and rose to his feet. Then, with a calm, commanding voice, he uttered words that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. "Actually, Your Honor, I'll be cross-examining the witness myself." Asterisk. A stunned silence filled the air. The jury exchanged glances. The audience gasped. Even Officer Daniels, the smug cop who had been so sure of himself, suddenly looked uneasy. Because this was the moment everything changed. What happened next? The shocking courtroom twist that no one saw coming was about to unfold. Stay tuned, because this is a battle for truth that you won't forget. Welcome to Stories with Mr. Gray. If you love uncovering the truth and standing up for justice, hit subscribe, like and drop the flag of your country in the comments below. It all started a few weeks before the trial. Michael Carter, a respected man in his community, was driving home from work on a regular Tuesday night when he was pulled over by Officer Daniels. Daniels, a police officer who thought he could do no wrong, saw Michael's car and decided it was his moment. Without any real reason, he flicked on the lights and waved Michael to the side of the road. As Michael pulled over, Daniels strolled up to his car with that all-too-familiar smugness. "Officer Daniels, step out of the car." Michael calmly. "What for? I haven't done anything wrong." But Daniels was in no mood for explanations. "Step out now, or I'll have to place you under arrest." Michael, aware of his rights, remained calm. He had done nothing wrong, and he knew it. But Officer Daniels? He had something different in mind. Without any warning, Daniels opened the door and yanked Michael out of the car. As he forced Michael to the ground, he muttered under his breath. Officer Daniels muttering, "I'll make something stick." That's when Daniels planted evidence. A small bag of drugs appeared under the seat, as if it had been there all along. Michael, completely unaware of the planted evidence, was arrested on the spot for drug possession. As Michael sat handcuffed on the side of the road, Daniels called for backup, his voice full of triumph. The police arrived, the scene was processed, and Michael was taken to the station without an ounce of resistance. That is how it all began. Fast forward to the courtroom, where Officer Daniels sat comfortably, his lies well rehearsed. The prosecutor, a man eager to close this case, nodded in agreement as Daniels took the stand. Officer Daniels with fake confidence. "I saw Mr. Carter make an illegal turn. When I pulled him over, he was acting nervous, looking all over the place. He didn't follow my commands. When I searched the car, I found the bag of narcotics right under the seat." The prosecutor smiled. Everything seemed to fit. The case was closed, or so they thought. Prosecutor nodding. "Thank you, officer. No further questions." The jury stared at Michael, whose hands were now shackled as he sat silently. His defense attorney appeared uncertain. The tension in the room thickened. Michael's life seemed to hang in the balance. But Michael wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. When it was finally time for the defense to speak, Michael stood. The room went still. Every eye in the courtroom locked on him. Michael confidently, "Your Honor, I will be cross-examining the witness myself." The judge blinked, taken aback. The prosecutor looked confused. "And Officer Daniels?" He laughed, thinking this would be an easy victory. Then judge said, "Okay, you can proceed." Officer Daniels looked at Michael and said, "Wait a minute. Who do you think you are?" "Michael. Someone who knows the law better than you." The room grew quiet. Michael approached the stand and turned toward Daniels. As Michael stood there, ready to cross-examine Officer Daniels, the air in the courtroom was thick with tension. The entire room could feel the shift. The tables had turned. No longer was Michael the one on trial. Now it was Officer Daniels who was under the spotlight. Michael took a slow, deliberate step toward the witness stand. He wasn't just going to challenge Daniels' words. He was going to obliterate his lies, piece by piece. Michael calmly. Officer Daniels, let's start with something simple. Michael's voice rang out in the courtroom, sharp and focused. All eyes were on him. The jury sat forward, eagerly waiting for what was to come. Michael holding up a stack of papers. You testified earlier that when you pulled me over, I was acting nervous. Now, I'd like you to explain. What does nervous mean in your training as a police officer? Officer Daniels. Well, it means the person is showing signs of being anxious or hiding something. Michael. And how exactly does that apply to me, officer? Officer Daniels looking uncomfortable. Look, he was jittery, looking around, sweating. Michael said, so you're telling the jury that every black man who looks nervous automatically must be hiding something? The room falls silent. The tension grows. The jury exchanges uneasy glances. Michael the turn to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times have we seen this in our lives? Someone looking nervous. And suddenly that's enough to be labeled guilty. Was I really acting nervous? Or was it just the fact that I'm black? The question hung in the air like a bombshell. Michael's calm demeanor contrasted with the sheer force of his words. The audience felt the weight of his accusation. Even Daniels seemed to shrink a little. But Michael wasn't finished. Michael continuing with sharp precision. Now, you also testified that when you stopped me, you performed a search of my vehicle. Can you explain to this jury exactly what prompted that search? Officer Daniels. He was acting suspicious, and I had reason to believe there was something in the car. Michael now raised an eyebrow, now pressing forward. And you didn't feel the need to ask me for permission first, did you? Officer Daniels.
No.
I didn't think it was necessary at the time. Michael slowly circling the witness stand, voice growing louder. So, what you're saying is, you decided to search my car without asking for my consent or even probable cause. Is that correct? Daniels hesitates, sweat forming on his brow. He tries to stay composed, but Michael's words are cutting through his defense. Michael continue. And then, after searching my car, you conveniently found a bag of drugs, right under the driver's seat? Not even a glove compartment, but right under the seat where anyone could have placed it. The room gasps, the atmosphere growing colder as Michael's voice echoes through the court. Michael focusing entirely on Daniels. Tell me, Officer Daniels, how many times have you made that exact claim before? Daniels is visibly sweating now. He fumbles for words. I don't know what you mean. Michael now pointing sharply. Let me make this clear. You are accusing me of carrying illegal narcotics, based on nothing but your word. And yet, every piece of evidence you present is nothing more than your word against mine. Tell me, officer, if you knew that your body cam wasn't working that night, why didn't you call for backup to make sure your claims were legitimate? There's a noticeable shift in the air. The jury is starting to look at Daniels differently. Doubts are rising. Michael's questions were precise, methodical, like a well-oiled machine, each one tearing down the walls of Daniels' fabricated story. Every word he spoke felt like another crack in the officer's armor. Michael now leaned forward, challenging Daniels. Officer Daniels, how does it feel knowing you've been caught in a lie? You're the one who made the decision to plant those drugs in my car. You're the one who made the decision to lie under oath. And now you're the one who's going to pay for it. Daniels shifts uncomfortably in his seat. He looks like he wants to bolt, but he's trapped. Michael raising his voice, addressing the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember this moment. The moment you saw justice being held up by truth. A moment when the man who had the power to convict me and ruin my life was exposed for what he truly is. A liar. An officer who thought he could get away with this because he thought his badge would protect him. But now, the truth has come out. The courtroom held its breath as Michael finished his cross-examination. Every single eye was locked on Daniels. The officer's face was pale, and his confidence had completely shattered. Michael had done it. He had completely dismantled the officer's testimony. What was left for Daniels? Michael stepping back, calm as ever. Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness. The judge nods solemnly, and the room erupts into hushed whispers as the full weight of what just happened begins to sink in. In that moment, Officer Daniels realized the fight was over. His lies, his arrogance, all of it had been exposed. He wasn't just facing defeat in court. He was facing the consequences of everything he had tried to cover up. And it was all because one man, the wrong man, had the courage to stand up and demand the truth. The courtroom was eerily quiet. Officer Daniels, once so smug, so confident, now stood before the judge, his face drained of color. He could feel his world crumbling down around him, the weight of his lies finally catching up with him. Judge calmly with authority. Officer Daniels, you are under arrest for perjury, evidence tampering, and misconduct. You are hereby removed from this courtroom and taken into custody. The words struck like a thunderclap. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The tension in the room was unbearable. Officer Daniels blinked rapidly, trying to process what had just happened. His knees almost buckled as two court officers moved toward him, handcuffs already in place. The smirk that had once adorned his face was long gone, replaced by sheer panic. His eyes darted around the courtroom, looking for some sort of escape, but there was none. The jaws of justice had closed in on him. As the officers approached, Daniels stepped back, his face flushed, sweat beading on his forehead. He didn't even try to resist. He couldn't. The courtroom murmured in disbelief as the officers placed him in cuffs. His career, his credibility, his entire future all vanished in an instant. He was now nothing more than a common criminal, just another liar exposed for the world to see. Officer Daniels had been living in a world where the badge and his lies protected him, but in this moment he was nothing. Nothing but a man caught in his own web of deceit. As the officers escorted him from the stand, the courtroom's whispers grew louder. But Michael? Michael stood tall, unshaken, with a calm yet victorious expression on his face. His posture, confident and resolute, spoke volumes. He had fought back. He had won. He was free. The irony was thick in the air. The cop who thought he could destroy a man's life with lies was now the one shackled and led away in disgrace. Justice had prevailed. As Michael walked out of the courtroom, his steps were light, as if the weight of the world had been lifted from his shoulders. He was no longer just a defendant. He was a victor, a man who had faced down the system and won. The doors of the courtroom opened, and the sunlight streamed in, marking his freedom. He looked around as though taking in the full scope of the battle he had just fought and won. Michael had done more than just clear his name. He had exposed a system of lies and corruption, and in doing so had earned his justice. But Officer Daniels? His life was in ruins. Meanwhile, one reporter hurried over to Michael as he steps outside. Mr. Carter, what is going through your mind right now? How did you stay so calm throughout all this? Michael turned to face the reporter. He smiled. There was no arrogance in it, just quiet strength and a deep understanding of the importance of what had just happened. Michael with quiet strength, his voice steady. Because the truth always comes out. No matter how long it takes, no matter how much they try to cover it up, the truth has a way of finding the light. For Michael, this wasn't just about the victory over one corrupt officer. It was about something much bigger, a message to everyone who had ever been wronged, to everyone who had ever been unjustly accused. Michael had proven that no matter how deep the lie runs, the truth will rise to the surface. As Michael walked away, he stopped for a brief moment. He turned to the camera, his eyes locking with the lens, direct, unwavering. To anyone who's ever been lied about, never stop fighting for the truth. The world may try to bring you down, but if you stay strong, if you hold on to what's right, the truth will always win. Michael turned and walked toward the future, the sun shining brightly in the distance. His path now clear, his heart at peace. Michael Carter had fought the fight of his life, and in the end, he had proven that truth and justice would always prevail over lies. This moment wasn't just his victory. It was a victory for everyone who had ever faced injustice. A victory for those who believed in the power of standing up and speaking out. A victory for the truth itself. Have you ever seen someone get caught in a lie this big? Have you ever witnessed the power of truth in action? Comment below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories that prove justice always has the last word.